Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Kelly. A lot of you know me as a TV guy or an interviewer guy, but today I'm here as a human guy and a guy who is trying to deal with work and life and love and what the heck to do with the stress. And to help me with that, I've invited Jan Damery in for a conversation. Jan is here from the YWCA in Calgary, where they've just released a program for people like you and people like me that are dealing with uncertainty and dealing with all kinds of issues, and it's all online. Hi, Jan.
Hi, how are you, Dave? Good to
I'm
see
so
you.
good. It's great to see you. Now, I took my little module, and we'll talk about my experience. But first, maybe tell us a little bit about why now. What's important about these times?
Well, I think it's always about being relevant, and YWCA has prided itself, certainly in Calgary, right, is always meeting people where they're at. And we realized that we were sitting on some content. We've been working on this project for a couple of years to actually develop a new social enterprise for YWCA that builds on our counseling programs and sort of the DNA behind those counseling programs. But we know that people are really struggling with this pandemic, what it means. Boundaries are shifting and changing, right? We're fearful. And so we realized, so a lot of this material that we've developed has been sort of developed just to help people sort of regulate their emotions. And so rather than focusing on a smaller group of clients that we typically deal with, we
Yeah.
wanted to make this available to all Canadians because we actually believe it can help.
Well, and here's what I think I found in this time is that, and all joking aside, is it's like whatever stress level I was at before, it's like this silent stress level that's up a little bit higher or a lot higher. So getting the milk out of the fridge before was just a matter of getting the milk out of the fridge. But now I find myself saying, why is the milk here? And who put the milk here? And what we should be buying more. And I just find myself just a little bit more bitey about things. And so, what I really found helpful about this is it allowed me just to step back and go, okay, what does that mean? Is that
Yeah.
part of the intention, you think?
It is, and it's actually to, in many respects, normalize. This is actually us being human. So this is actually how we react when we're in
Yeah.
stress. But if we can take that observer view, like you said, step back, we actually see that we can actually regulate those feelings.
Well, and
Because
one of the,
part of the importance of the feelings, right,
Mhm.
they tell us what's important,
Do you,
right? Go ahead.
and one of the things that I found, or one of the things I found helpful, and I wrote it down, the wave of negative emotions. And you said, when in the program, when I talked about the wave of negative emotions and riding that wave, is it gave me a second to go, that anger I feel right now, it's just a wave. So it's not going to be this angry forever. Just
Yeah.
let that sit for a bit, which was it was an interesting moment for me to go, hey, wait a minute. I'm angry now, but I'm not going to be angry forever.
Yeah. And acknowledging the anger,
Yeah.
you see it, right? You become the observer of yourself, right? Actually starts to dissipate it. Because the interesting thing about anger, and many of us, particularly women, have been taught we can't be angry. It's not okay to be
Right.
angry.
Right.
But when people cross our boundaries, so when we are feeling anxious, uncertain, right? Someone shift you, let's go back to your milk analogy,
Yeah.
right? Shifting in a different place in the fridge, it's like someone's affronted you. They've crossed
Yeah.
a boundary, right? Not okay. It's okay to see that, but now it becomes how do we deal with that? And yelling, screaming, and in our line of work, because many of us know, right, for the great work we do
Yeah.
in supporting victims of domestic violence, right? We're trying to actually, so this truly is a preventative program, and this module is just a snippet of actually a fuller program that helps us start to understand our emotions, name them, and help them actually minimize, right? We can actually de escalate them, and that it allows us to make different choices. It doesn't say that we ignore our emotions. Many of us, particularly in the business world, have been taught to ignore our emotions.
Yeah.
And we actually make all our decisions through emotions, believe it or not, even though many people think it's a rational thing. We rationalize to justify
Hmm.
because we make decisions on our values, which is emotions. How are our feelings? What's important to us?
And in
And so
your
this is trying to renormalize how almost our brains work. So also this programming is grounded into the latest neuroscience. And by doing some of the breathing exercises, right, getting calm and present, what everyone is talking about mindfulness these days, this is what it
Yeah.
is. It
Yeah.
actually allows us to access the prefrontal cortex in our brain that
I
allows
was
us to hear things differently and to be open to perspectives and to actually get along with people rather than fighting them.
I I was struck in there too that for me anyway, everything is stress. Oftentimes, like work will be stressed, but I'll come home and that'll be okay. Or home will be stressful, but I can go to work and kind of get a break and say, okay. Whereas now it's all mixed together and they all can feel like this stressful,
Yeah.
tricky thing to deal with.
Well, and this is where the neuroscience comes into it as well, because we actually need routines so that our brains, in many respects, can go into autopilot. And that allows us, right? I mean, many of us, pre COVID may remember sort of driving to the office and not remembering how to get there
Mm,
because we do that so often. So it means that our brain doesn't actually have to focus on always making these connections, right? So when all of these routines are thrown up in the air, this is why we're all feeling unsettled. And so I
mm,
think we just have to acknowledge it. It takes a lot more energy in this environment. So we have to be getting rest. It's okay to take a break. It's that
yeah.
recharge. And then again, what are the new routines and structures that can help you manage all of the new stimulus and new ways of working that are coming at you?
One of the things in the program is called box breathing. And and I've done a lot of breathing exercise in my life.
Mhm.
I've never done box breathing. Maybe I'll leave
Yeah,
that as a tease. You got to go to the program to find out how it works. It's really simple. But
yeah,
all of those things make a big difference. So I did a 15-minute module. Talk about the future of this. Is this one? Or are you
yeah.
doing more? Or what's going to happen?
Yeah, so we're sort of releasing we're so we're driving the car as we're building the car.
Hmm.
And this is, part of it is we are a not for profit, YWCA Calgary, right? We don't have a lot of investment dollars. We've had some really smart people advise us, particularly in our local tech sector, is you de-risk things by just kind of building, trying to prove out market. And so certainly by releasing this one module out to all Canadians creates a bit of
Hmm.
teaser and hopefully some interest to drive market for us.
Hmm.
But the plan right now is 10 bite size, and we've been quite deliberate to make these modules short. So you're experiencing that. We all don't have a lot of time, but we've also learned a lot.
Yeah.
Again, back to the neuroscience and how we learn in small bite sized moments, and then can you repeat? And so these 10 modules will take the content, and it doesn't matter where you start in them, but they will sort of get you to kind of replay some certain concepts, but also look at, right, both your emotional mind, and your logical mind. And how do you bring both of those pieces together to become the wise minds? We're making better decisions, particularly under stress.
Well, I very much appreciate the module that I took because I did it was the pause that reminded me to pause, and it was really helpful. That all it took, and I did it on a Saturday night. That's how I live, Jan. I go wild on a Saturday night, but it's great. I For 15 minutes, it just gave me a minute to go. Everyone's feeling this. It's okay, and here's some tools to get through it. So it was great. If people want to find out or do it or be part of this, what do they do? Where do they go?
So just click on to mindfulicity.ca. So that's mindful and an icity, ICITY, added onto it. Funny story. Originally, this program we called Mindful Workplaces, but
Right.
tough to trademark it. So we actually made up a name. It's easier to trademark a made up name. So that's where
Really?
mindfulicity comes from. Yeah. And I actually really like it, right? It just, I think, because when we started this work a couple of years ago, Dave, we had no idea we would have a pandemic and the worlds between work, right, and home. So
Yeah.
this is open to everybody, and we found even many of our clients who have taken this programming, even some of our staff who've helped us develop this programming, right, or commented on. I mean, this helps me with my relationships with my teenagers, right? I can actually
Yeah.
now talk to my teenagers, right, when I have these skills. So it's applicable to all of us because we're human.
Mm.
So this is back to us being human, human Dave,
Yeah,
human Jan.
it is. And part of one of the things it mentions in closing, I noticed that it was uh, don't forget about your networks and the people you know. And I felt when I did this, it was like there's thousands of people and thousands of hours over decades that went into making this program.
Yes.
So there's a lot of, I'm kind of hanging out with the best of the best when I'm working with this.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
Generous, right? What we want to do is share our know-how. Let me just share another story. So you think of the number of women, that we house even nightly, right, in our
Hmm.
domestic violence shelter. We are there to help them and we want to actually help them rebuild their lives back out in society.
Hmm.
But they still run into a lot of these sorts of challenges.
Hmm.
And so this is our way too of helping us change a little bit the environment that particularly the vulnerable people that we serve, that they
Yeah.
actually have a better chance of thriving once they get out into society on their own. So it's a
That's,
big picture
yeah.
thing.
And for those of us watching, and I don't want to say it's just men, but there's a lot of them that are. For the men who are thinking, "Hey, wait a minute, this might be me." The great thing about it is you can do this quietly on your
Yeah,
phone, and
exactly.
find out what needs work. So if you're a guy that goes, you know what, I have a feeling I need to be thinking about this, is a great way to do it.
Yeah.
You're so good,
Thank you.
Jan. Thanks for
Oh,
letting me in on it and letting me try it out. And it was a great pause to remind me to pause.
wow. So great. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Jan. Mindfulicity.ca.